What's up, Reapers? My name's Seth, and we are back games more Trove. You're welcome, by the way. I don't know why I just thought that was a funny joke, but in either case, today we're going to be taking a look at the recent Trove dev stream. Or more importantly, we're going to end up reading some notes that Shirokiri ended up posting. So thanks for that one, Shirokiri. It helps me out. Also, I ended up kind of getting a little bit of a summary from other people about the live stream to figure out that it was a little bit lackluster. The developers did say that they were going to end up showing us some exciting stuff, and they most of all just talked about it. So the next update that's supposed to be coming out in May, everybody, is going to end up being a big PvP update for Trove, right? And I still don't really understand why they're doing this, because honestly speaking, nobody's really hankering for some PvP gameplay, but at the least, it's not going to be forced content. They're just kind of remodeling it and apparently adding a new game mode. So for those of you that are interested, we will get into it, which, so there's the new PvP mode is going to end up coming out. That is going to end up having everyone, like every class is going to end up having the same set of abilities. I don't know whether or not it means that they're going to end up having kind of a default class, like maybe we're all going to be playing as the knight in PvP or something, or if we just select any type of character, they all have the same amount of jump speed and movement speed and stuff like that, which would be kind of weird because all the characters' heights does actually come into play for how they end up playing, at least to a smaller degree. I don't know, but we'll see what happens. But either way, it's trying to make it so that it ends up having new abilities kind of set around the map. So I'm going to show you a little screenshot right here from the developer live stream. This is pretty much all that they ended up doing, showing a PvP arena, which I don't know, it doesn't really look that exciting, just looks like a generic PvP arena, but the thing that is kind of cool is that you can kind of see that the power-ups on the map are going to end up being set power-ups, so think of it more in terms of a proper PvP system, where rather than just picking up random power-ups, maybe banners are just going to be obsolete after this, who knows? I honestly don't think that banners would be obsolete, because otherwise then the PvP boxes would be useless, but either way, I could care less about all the PvP stuff. Hopefully it's going to end up being something kind of worthwhile and kind of exciting. Maybe the abilities themselves could end up doing some cool stuff. We saw a jump pad kind of in the background there, which has me thinking that it's going to end up being under the same code as Lunar Cassandra, who shows down the jump pads everywhere that makes us all jump around like idiots. So in either case, let's get to the normal questions. So this is going to be the Q&A section of the developer stream, because that was pretty much it. Like, seriously, they didn't talk about nothing. So, is moving the outpost NPCs to cornerstones an acceptable practice? And the developers go on to say that they're probably going to end up fixing it in the future. It is kind of an exploit, but it's not really something that they're particularly, they're not in a super rush to end up fixing it, guys. Do you have an update on the stuck at login screen issues? So most of all, this is happening in Shadow Towers. I am feeling the same woes that all of you guys are, where we get stuck in the screen where it just says login. That's it. You're just sitting there. You're waiting in the loading screen for 5 zillion years. The little bit of a workaround that you can end up doing with that you guys ended up actually telling me a couple weeks ago is you type /tutorial, and then that's going to have the client kind of relog your character, so that'll end up getting you out of the login without having to close the game and reopen it. I don't know if console players are dealing with it. Most likely you guys are, though, because we always have the same issues. But the developers go on to say that it's been a bigger issue than they expected. So they actually suggest even themselves to use the /tutorial issue or secret command or whatever. It's kind of like a quick little workaround. Now, I personally find it really strange. Like, what line of code are they constantly changing? Because this login bug is not like... This isn't anything new, guys. We've had this over the past couple years of me playing this game, where every now and then this bug ends up getting added to the game, and for some reason it takes them longer and longer to patch it. So I don't know what piece of code is conflicting. What about reworking power rank contests, since the same people always win? The developers say that they are definitely revamping power rank contests after the next major update. So they say specifically after the next major update, so I'm wondering whether or not that means that they're talking about the May update. Do they consider that a major update, or are they talking about the U10 update coming out sometime in the fall? Why isn't there a way to organize storage trophies? So this was kind of interesting because they say that they're adding more free, note that they say free, personal storage in the next big update. Again, they say the big update. I don't think the PvP update counts as a big update, you guys. But they say it's not specific to trophies, but you could use it for that purpose. So maybe we're going to end up just getting more storage space in our personal chest. I could see them doing something like that. I think that would be a very quick, easy, you know, like there should be more tabs. There really should. Like, there should be up to like 4 that you have for free, and then you could buy up to 10 or something. Not that you would actually end up needing it, but even a game like Diablo 3 slowly ends up adding more and more tabs as they end up adding more and more mounts and items to the game, right? It's not that there's that many items that you end up keeping in your personal inventory, though, honestly speaking. But again, I do try to consider the fact that most starting players aren't going to end up having 3 inventory tabs, right? What was the next one here? I kind of lost my place. Is it possible to address an issue of Shadow Tower boss trophies not being stackable? The developers say that they'll look into it. And then the next question is, any plans to do something about the backlog of styles and decor on Trove Creations? Because there's so many items that have been accepted into the game that haven't made it into the game for over a year. Like there's a couple dragons that we've seen in the game code years ago that haven't actually made their way into the game yet. So hopefully they end up having a good answer to this. But they mentioned that we have mentioned a couple times about starting to take more user-created content. We've started with a few costumes and mounts that you'll see in the next update. After that, we'll be looking at decor and styles. Okay, that I don't know if they were talking about that, like, specifically about how they were going to end up. I don't know. Maybe I ended up misreading the question. I thought it was going to be talking about the issue of there being too many items that are going to be added to the game over time that they're just not really keeping up with. But I guess they're just in general trying to say that, yes, we know that the modders have been submitting a bunch of stuff and they're going to be adding all that stuff. So at least we're going to get some costumes in the next update, at least. Mounts, who cares? Just more mastery, right? Most of them are probably going to be pretty gross. Can you make the sound of Radiant and Stellar drops easier / more recognizable? Developers say that we can look at reevaluating that with the release of the next rarity tier. Hashtag confirmed, guys. Interstellar gear is a thing. You thought I was crazy. You thought it was just rumors. Nope. Interstellar gear is not necessarily going to be called Interstellar gear, but now we actually have confirmation that there is going to end up being a tier of gear on top of Stellar. Fingers crossed that they're not going to end up doing that with the gems. Please, devs, don't give us new gems. We don't need a new tier of gems, okay? Unless we can forge our existing gems from Stellar up to the next tier, I don't want to have to randomize my gems all over again, and that would be absolutely disgusting. But a new tier of gear, I'll take more movement speed and attack speed and stuff, right? But the thing that's really interesting is that they say that they're going to be reevaluating the drop sound effects when they add the next rarity tier, meaning that it's going to be droppable. So it's probably going to end up being some type of time-gated garbage of how you actually end up attaining them, you know, the forging recipe for them. Maybe similar to Stellar gear, where you have to like forge it by using like the Lunar and Titan souls and stuff like that, right? Or does it take Lunar souls? I think it's just Titan souls. But my point being is that at least we can confirm it's going to end up being a drop for those of us that have high magic find. Can the platform for Neon Outpost be made like Spawn so blocks can be placed but not destroyed? They say that they're considering adding a layer of indestructibility to it because the Neon Outpost is destructible. If they're going to end up making them indestructible, do it with the ships that are out in the world as well. I would appreciate that one because otherwise so many people just go into Troves of Wonder and destroy them. When will Fun Factory get new things? No direct answer to that, but there are several new block types in the next big update. Oh, woohoo. No, really, I'm most excited about that next tier of gear, though. Is there going to be any more use for fiery feathers? I can already confirm, even without reading the dev reply, yes, they already ended up mentioning it in the game's lore that as you end up trying to craft the fiery feathers, there's going to end up being, I think they said that there's going to be 3 or 5 different mounts that are going to be specifically related to the Forbidden Spires biome. But the developers do say that, yes, there's going to be more uses for fiery feathers, but there's no details on it yet. So, honestly speaking... It might sound kind of mean. I'm just going to say don't hold your breath, because whenever they do stuff like that and say that there's no plans for it, that's probably it. We probably just have the Phoenix and that's it, right? Can console get the same box opening mod as PC has? We would and then the developers actually say, it's just still in bold text here, but we totally would like to revamp the entire box opening process. We will get around to it someday, but no date yet. We understand the pain though. No, I don't think you do, developers, because you don't actually play your game. Are there any plans for more framework or some of the existing biomes? So there actually is, like, Stratus and I have ended up, well, mostly Stratus, he ended up looking into the games code, and we've seen tons and tons of different frameworks and fixtures and stuff like that that aren't even in the game yet, that we don't have access to. We can't end up using them, but a lot of them are actually dungeons, and, you know, even for the Forbidden Spires, there is going to end up being a framework somewhere down the line that is going to end up being these mountains. It's already in the game's code, just for some weird reason they haven't given us to it yet. But in either case, the developer's response is there will be more, but related to the new content that's coming out. We intend to add more as we go, specifically visiting old biomes. So once again, we just kind of confirm what I already said, where they're going to end up adding them eventually, but as of right now, they're talking about new biomes, which, interestingly enough, is that another little hint at U10 actually being a unique area that's going to end up coming out with its new set of frameworks and a new set of other, you know, vanity items that you can end up crafting. So anyways, then we've only got a couple more questions here. Any plans for more organic blocks? It's on our list of community requests, but there's no further updates. And then there's also, will you add more methods to obtain meteorite fragments, as they currently only spawn in one section of one biome? Perhaps add to gardening bench or swamp mob drops. And the developer's response is, meteor fragments and cinnabar are two items we are looking at adding additional distribution for. Cinnabar will be getting a tome, for example. Meteorite fragments, I could see getting a tome, considering the fact that you need them so much. But I would actually think that that would be really, really good as a gardening thing, because then gardening would end up having a much better use, because as of right now, it doesn't really have any use other than steed feed. If they ended up putting meteorite in the final tier of gardening, I feel that the profession would end up actually, you know, coming around full circle and actually being something useful. What is up with that block growing from another dimension in the Trove Atlas in the hub? We already like, we've known this for a very long time, that it's going to end up being U10. Like, Siri, seriously, for some reason, hey Siri. But anyways, the developers say so many theories on this so far. No, not really. There's only one theory. It's U10. We already know, guys. We'll tell you in just over 2 weeks. That's a nice little cliffhanger that we've been left on. Whether or not they end up actually talking about it, though, in just over 2 weeks is going to remain to be seen, guys, because that's the whole thing, is the developers constantly say what they're going to do, and then they end up doing something else. Now, a lot of this is, you know, criticized about them, but in a lot of ways, it's most of all got to do with the company and the way that it works. Because for some weird reason, whoever's in charge over there at Tryon Worlds doesn't want them spoiling anything for us. It's a developer live stream. The only reason I'm watching it is for spoilers. Like, you're supposed to be getting us hyped on content, you know? But either way, I just don't really understand the idea of them keeping it all secret, except for certain things, you know. But we'll see what ends up happening in the future with all this stuff. The May update is supposed to be PvP, which, I mean, even with this live stream here, you know, we ended up getting some great questions from you guys that is awesome, that the developers ended up answering, and maybe accidentally so, you know? Like, we're not reading too deep into it to say that the next tier of gear is going to end up being dropped, right? And then also the fact that they're going to be talking about U10 within a month, which would be really, really cool if they end up talking about it within a month. But in either case, that's already it. So thank you so much for watching. Very much appreciate it. Don't forget to like, share, favorite, and subscribe for more daily content. Sorry if I was kind of jibber-jabbering and tripping over my own tongue today. Generally speaking, for some weird reason, I'm just kind of tongue-tied. But I gotta get this video out to all you guys as soon as possible, and then I gotta do a live stream. Yikes. If you want to support me, though, you can always sponsor my YouTube channel or check links in the description for my merch store. You can get this shirt. There's a bunch of new shirts, by the way, that I've ordered and I'm waiting on before I can show you guys them in a video, but you can check them out right now. Or you can check out Gawkbox, which is where you can donate to me for free. Sayonara and stay up, everybody.